1957, Wisconsin. A cold, freezing night. The local police are looking for a missing woman named Bernice Worden. Their search leads them to the decaying, isolated farmhouse of a quiet, polite man named Ed Gein. The police walk into his dark, wooden shed. It smells like copper, rust, and rotting meat. One of the officers shines his flashlight into the darkness and sees a massive carcass hanging upside down from the ceiling. At first glance, he thinks it's a deer that had been hunted and gutted. But deer don't have human hands. It wasn't an animal. It was Bernice Worden. She had been decapitated, hung by her ankles, and gutted wide open, just like livestock. But the police had no idea that the shed was only the front door to a much bigger nightmare. To understand the absolute madness inside that farmhouse, you have to look at how Ed Gein was raised. Ed didn't grow up normal. He grew up in a cult of one. His mother, Augusta. Augusta was a fanatically religious and deeply abusive woman. She bought that isolated farmhouse specifically to keep her family away from the sinful outside world. Every afternoon, she forced Ed and his older brother Henry to sit and listen as she read graphic verses from the Bible about death, punishment, and hellfire. She brainwashed them, telling them every single day that all women, except her, were dirty, infected, and sinful. Ed worshipped her, but his brother Henry started to rebel, and in the Gein family, rebellion meant death. In the spring of 1944, Ed and Henry were burning trash on the farm. The fire mysteriously raged out of control. When the police arrived, Ed led them straight to Henry's dead body. Strangely, Henry hadn't been burned. He was lying face down, dead from asphyxiation, with mysterious bruises on his head. The police were suspicious. Did Ed murder his own brother to protect his mother's honor? They couldn't prove it, so they ruled it an accident. Now, Ed had his mother all to himself. But in 1945, Augusta suffered a stroke and died. Ed's entire universe collapsed. He was left completely alone in that massive, rotting farmhouse. And in that crushing silence, his mind began to mutate. He sealed off his mother's bedroom to keep it perfect, and lived in the filth of the rest of the house. He wanted his mother back. He wanted to climb inside her skin, literally. Ed didn't become a killer immediately. He became a ghoul. At night, he would read the local obituaries. When a middle-aged woman died, someone who physically reminded him of his mother, Ed would visit the graveyard. Under the cover of darkness, he dug up their graves. He cracked open their coffins. He would later tell police he was in a daze when he did this. He didn't just look at the corpses. He carefully peeled off their skin, cut off their body parts, threw them in a burlap sack, and took them back to his farmhouse. He was gathering materials. He was building something sick. When the police finally raided his farmhouse after finding Bernice Worden in the shed, they stepped into a museum of human anatomy. What did the police find inside the house? Listen carefully. They found bowls made from the top halves of human skulls. They found chairs upholstered in human skin. They found a belt made entirely out of human nipples. They found a lampshade made from the face of a woman. They found a box filled with noses. But the most terrifying discovery was hanging in his closet. Ed was trying to build a woman's suit so he could literally become his mother. The police found a corset made from a freshly peeled female torso and leggings made from human leg skin. He had crafted a collection of masks, real human faces, carefully peeled off corpses, which he would wear around the house in the dead of night, dancing in the moonlight. Despite the sheer volume of human remains in his house, Ed Gein only officially murdered 2 women, Mary Hogan and Bernice Worden. The rest were stolen from the graveyard. When he was arrested, he wasn't a screaming, aggressive monster. He was a quiet, timid old man. He politely answered the police's questions. He didn't even understand why the officers were throwing up outside his house. To him, this was completely normal. He was found legally insane and spent the rest of his life in a mental institution, dying quietly in 1984. His house of nightmares mysteriously burned to the ground before it could be auctioned off, most likely set on fire by outraged neighbors. Ed Gein inspired the greatest horror movies in history: Psycho, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Silence of the Lambs. But Hollywood could never capture the true horror of his existence, because the scariest part about Ed Gein isn't what he made. It's that, to everyone in his town, he was just the quiet, friendly neighbor who did odd jobs and babysat their kids. Look out your window. Who lives next to you?